Hey, happy end of the week. You're listening to Weekly Weather Brief, which is a brand new podcast here with myself, meteorologist Kerrin Jeromin, and my beautiful co-host.
Oh, hi, Karen. I'm meteorologist Emily Gracey. I'm thrilled to be doing this with you. I'm so excited that we're kind of kicking this off at a very active time of year, I think. So,
Yeah,
this is a
yeah.
fun podcast. It's meant to bring you all of the information once a week in like a 10-minute package because we're so inundated with like information, right? Especially this week. So, you're getting it all in 10 minutes, everything you need to know. And sometimes with a glass of wine. And I don't know about you, Karen, but I
Oh,
have one this week. I
not
need
this week. I should, but I'm just
You're,
sucking on the water this week.
you're hydrating in preparation for the American Meteorological Society's annual meeting, which is turning into an interesting situation in itself.
Yeah, a whole bunch of weather nerds, ourselves included, will be gathering in Houston, Texas next week, and rightfully so. The irony, right? There's a big winter storm that so many of us are looking at going, am I actually going to make it there?
I
Is my
know.
flight
We were
going to be
just chatting
disrupted?
about this before we started recording. We're going to get into all that. We're going to talk
Yeah.
about kind of the mental load that comes along with this stuff too. But let's talk about this winter storm because this has been forecasted here. I mean, for a while, this has been showing up on the computer model. There was talk of this maybe a week ago, and now we're getting into it. And this is kind of scary in some ways, and in other ways, it's kind of a well forecasted event, but it's affecting so many people, which I think is why it's getting perhaps all of the attention that it is, rightfully so.
Yeah, yeah. And part of this podcast is like, what are people talking about? And so clearly, this is what everyone's talking about. I'm located in the Northeast in New England, and Emily, you're in the Southeast. But this is one of those storms that it's affecting such a huge part of the country that it's
Hmm.
such a talker, right? It's a stretch of real estate from basically Arizona to Maine has some form of winter weather alert from the National Weather Service, be it a winter storm warning or ice storm warning or extreme cold. So there's a lot going on, a lot of different facets to this storm. And again, a big swath of real estate that's going to be impacted.
Yeah, I was just thinking that word swath too, because I'm picturing like the warnings kind of going across the middle of the country. And I think if it was just snow, people might be a little bit more excited, but we're talking about snow, ice,
Yeah.
and that extreme cold after, and even like tonight and tomorrow for some of those places in the upper Midwest. So when we get into the negatives, that's where things get really scary, especially if you're talking about any sort of power outages with the ice storm situation. So places like Texas are kind of freaking out because they did deal with this, a few years ago. They had that major ice storm that just left them powerless for a very long time. Hopefully,
Right, right.
people are preparing. We're kind of talking about those preparations now, what people should be doing. But I think power outages, like if you can prepare for power outages, that's going to be the number one thing I think that you need to do.
And I'll just back up there because it really depends on where you are. I think
Mm,
sometimes with these big storms, it's easy to hear the whole picture because that's the point of like if you're watching, national media or something, they're talking about the impacts from coast to coast, and it can create this like doomsday scenario for a lot of people, right? Oh my
mass
gosh, this is
panic.
the worst storm ever. But at the end of the day, you just need to know where you live and
Yeah.
what's going to happen where you are and how can you prepare to kind of bring down that stress a little bit, I think. And so when you're
Yeah,
talking power outages, it depends where you are. If
this
you're
is
in
true.
Maine listening to this or hearing the storm, you've done this. It's January, right? Old hat. Even in parts of the upper Midwest, the extreme cold, it's no doubt it's cold. You were talking 20, 30 below zero, maybe colder wind chills. That's a big deal, but it's not something that they haven't experienced, right? They
Hmm.
know how to prepare. However, when you're talking about the deep south, dealing with ice or snow and extreme cold, that does put strain on the power grid. It puts strain on people and their daily lives. It's very disruptive, right?
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Thank you for reeling me in on that one when I started to go rogue there.
No,
Because
not at
you're
all.
absolutely right. And that's part of the problem is like you open up social media and you're shown something instantly from who knows where by who knows what. And it's like once you click on it, you're in the algorithm. So you're gonna keep getting
Yeah.
fed that information. So I think it's such an important thing to really focus on your local meteorologist. Find a local TV meteorologist. They're on
Yeah.
TV, but they're all on social media too. So that's like the person that you want to follow because they're going to give you your forecast for your city. So
Right.
local TV
That's true.
matters because they're doing a
Local
lot more than
TV.
just TV.
And a plug for humans too. I mean, right now in an age where you
Yeah.
can get information everywhere, right? Everyone's got an app, everyone's got a phone. I will stand by this forever. Apps, they only can show you so much, right? It's going to show you a number and an icon. Most of the time it's computer generated. So there's not a lot of analysis from a human that's thinking about what are the impacts from this. And so in
Mm-hmm.
these situations with a storm, you've got to listen to a human and check a couple of
Mm-hmm.
sources, right? Be informed,
Yeah, and don't focus on the numbers always either. Like you said, the impacts are so
right?
much more important. So while it's exciting to think like, are we going to get 8 inches of snow or 10 inches of
Yeah.
snow? But like, does it matter at the end of the day? I mean, people like to see those numbers, but what matters is the impacts. How is this going to impact your life? Are you going to lose power? Are you going to be able to drive? Are you going to miss your flight? Is your flight going to be canceled? You can tell what I'm thinking about right now.
I was going to say, we kind of alluded to this at the start of the show, right? A lot of meteorologists from around the country are coming together in Houston, Texas next week for an annual meteorological conference. And I think a lot of us are in the same decision point of like, do I need to change my flight? Do
Mm-hmm.
I need to change things? Am I going to get there? It does cause a stress on everyone, depending on what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're at home, you got to think about what are your risks at home. Are you at risk of power outage? Do you have your supplies if needed? Do you even need supplies, right? Are you fine? You've
Mm-hmm.
been through this kind of thing. So it's interesting to think about this stress that sometimes comes along with weather. And it's a very real thing, particularly if you've been through some event and you have something to
Mm-hmm.
draw from. You mentioned Texas. They might be thinking worst case scenario from the last round of cold several years ago.
Yeah, for
So
sure. And it
yeah.
happens in the southeast when it comes to hurricanes, so I
Hmm.
totally understand it. And then it stirs up like when this happened last, how did I feel? How do I feel right now? So you have to think about like what really matters here. Am I going to be safe? Is my family going to be safe? Like what are the things that really matter and kind of let go of those things that maybe a wedding was planned. You might miss an event. It sucks. I missed a friend's wedding because an airport was shut down because of a hurricane. And I was so upset in the time. And now I'm like, well, we're still friends. Life went on. She got married. Like things do work out. So you just have to take a deep breath and like kind of realize that things are going to change and you don't really have control over that.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that's a whole different podcast in itself, and we will, of course, talk about many different things, not just daily weather or weekly weather, which will be our general theme, but we're going to talk about all these things, right? Like the life of meteorologists
Mm-hmm.
and missing events because of weather, or any maybe the stress of missing something in
Yeah.
personal life for other people because of weather. So yeah, we've got a lot to cover on this show, but this week this storm has all facets, I think.
I know. There's quiet weeks and there are not so quiet weeks. And this is one of those not so quiet weeks, which, we talked about the stuff that we see that caught our eye this week. And something
Hmm.
that caught my eye, along with millions of other people, was a post that somebody put up about like 40% chance of exploding trees. Did you see this? It's making the rounds.
Yeah, I did see it actually. Yeah.
So I went down this rabbit hole because I was like, what are they talking about? And a lot of other people are addressing this too. So I thought we should bring this up. It sounds alarming, right? Like you're picturing trees exploding and just like,
Just out of nowhere,
yeah, out of
they
nowhere.
explode.
But, what can happen when temperatures get down to like -20, -25 is the sap inside of trees can freeze. It has a much lower freezing point than water, so it takes a bit, but they can freeze and they can crack. And apparently it makes a very loud noise, which can be
Mm.
alarming.
Mm.
And it can cause structural damage to the tree, which could, be an issue. But trees are not going to explode as
Let's see. Define
it's a
exploding. Yeah, that's a tough
yeah,
one,
it's
right?
like, yeah. They should call it something a little less sexy, like cracking or,
Liquid
dismantling
liquid
of trees.
expanding.
Yes.
And we're all about education and science based on this show too. So yeah, when things freeze, water, particular liquids, they expand.
Yes, this is why we have
That's,
potholes.
that's why we have potholes. Yes, that's a very
There's
good
a
point.
lot more of those up there
That's
than there are
interesting.
down here.
But you got to do something to get the clicks, right? That's
Yeah.
interesting. I saw something today that actually is a good thing. I think in a lot of people's minds is that like
I'll take it.
winter might be showing some light at the end of the tunnel. So for the far northern part of the world, the North Pole and the Arctic, they've been in something called polar night for a couple of months, actually, like 2 months. It's been constant darkness. They don't get sunrises. The sun doesn't come up. And today is the day that changes. So some parts
Ooh.
of northern Alaska have gotten their first sunrise in months. And can you imagine how amazing that must feel
So
after?
literal light at the end of the tunnel. You weren't
Yes,
kidding.
yes, yes. Literal light at the end of the tunnel. And to me,
How
that
much do they
signifies
get?
like, I think it's like 30 minutes, but hey, it's something,
I'll take
right?
it. Yeah.
If it's not cloudy.
Do
But
you
at least
think
it's
they all go
daylight.
outside and are like,
I would imagine so. I certainly would. There's a hardy group of people that live in the polar regions, and I don't think I could handle the constant night, to be honest. So
yeah,
I would hope everyone goes out and like celebrates the 30 minutes.
I know. I already feel
Yeah,
bad for you with your like 4 p.m. sunsets. So I can't imagine.
we're getting there. It's almost 5 p.m. I think next week we crossed over to 5 p.m. in Connecticut. I know.
All right. Well,
We're in the depths
Kerrin,
of winter, is all it comes down to.
I hope we make it to Houston. We are going to both try on Sunday to see each other in person for the
We'll
first
get
time in
there.
like a year. So I can't wait, hopefully, but we're going to stay flexible, right?
Yes, yes. We're gonna get there. All's gonna happen. The weather's gonna weather, and we're gonna carry on.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll will ourselves into some good luck here, but best of luck to everybody across the country dealing with this. Prepare for the power outages if you're in those ice storm areas, and we wish you the best. Stay warm,
Yeah,
bundle up.
yeah. And hey, we hope you liked this podcast. Since we're just getting going, make sure you follow us along and listen in every week. We're going to put out a new show every week. And again, kind of summarize whatever caught our eye in the weather
Mm-hmm.
that week. And we'd love your thoughts too if you can hit us up on social media.
Yep. Hit subscribe, follow us along YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're in all the spots, and we can't wait to hear from you as well. So definitely give us a follow. Emily Gracey, Kerrin Jeromin, so happy to be sitting here with you and doing this podcast.
Back at you.
Cheers to another week.
Cheers. See you in Houston.